welcome everybody here for Pootie Gang versus Pigs Might Fly. We are here for our second semifinal, our second platinum semifinal as well, and we're into draft, and the teams are actually using Pro Draft, so I had to throw this one together. And joining me here is Oath.
Disgusting. Pro draft users, am I right?
It's pretty horrific. It's pretty horrific.
I might not be able to watch, but yeah, this this is one of the games I'm actually really excited for today. I've had the courtesy of casting pigs before in their game against I believe it was Cosmic Flow.
Yeah, the Pootie
And
Gang Cosmic Flow game. That was an interesting one. Sure.
that's right. You're right. That's what it was. And already we've seen Talia and Misfortune taken off the board. The responses being Karthus and Ornn.
Yeah, and now the Mordekaiser is hovered here for a ban. We'll see if it actually goes through. But right now, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff taken away already. I mean, you said the Karthus, the Talia, not necessarily super meta picks. The Ornn and Misfortune are a little more normal. And now
Yeah, I
the
have to
Olaf.
assume the Talia being taken away is some kind of read. PTG has to have some insider information on that one. They're hovering the set here.
Yeah, and
Always a
it
solid
is going to be a
pickup.
first lock. So
And we've seen it flex between jungle and top. The fast responses of Jarvan and Diana coming through, two solid champions.
yeah, and of course the Jarvan, strong early game jungler, going to be very good at ganking here. And Diana is just going to be able to assassinate this Kaisa that is going to be picked up for Pootie Gang, and we'll see if the Graves will be the lock for the jungle here. Or, it could go mid. We have seen that.
Yeah, Graves would be an interesting lock here. Has the chance to bully the Jarvan a little bit early. Definitely a very strong individual champion.
Yeah, 2 seconds left, and there is no buffer time in pro draft. So if you can't wait and hold it to the 0 second mark like you can in the client. But it will be the Graves, so we'll see what Pigs Might Fly pick up here to round it off. Potentially, they could go for a support, or they're gonna go with the Urgot actually in the
Or just
set.
answer top lane. The Graves being picked up by makes Pig thinks that Set is going to be the top lane matchup, so they'll pick up their top laner as well. Actually, maybe not. They've banned out the Gangplank.
Yeah, I guess they're just indexing into the potential for set support. Maybe even something really crazy like set jungle, Graves mid. But yeah, the Gangplank going to be taken away. Now the Morgana hover, it looks like Pootie Gang are just going to be banning out the bot lane here.
Yeah, there's no real reason to leave Morgana open for Pootie Gang here. It does stop up a few things that you want to do, especially if you're planning on drafting a CC support or Set is your CC support. Hot take.
Yeah, that's we have seen Omnistone set be a fairly effective pick, especially in the EU Masters that has been going on the last couple of days. And obviously, Pigs Might Fly are thinking that it's going to be set going down into the bot lane because they've banned away that Gangplank and now the Cho'Gath.
And the Senna being hovered here, I would expect this to actually be banned away, and it is. Senna, really annoying champion to deal with, especially for the likes of Graves.
And Rakan, wow. Pick up here for Mark Hames. And we could assume that they're just going to be able to get the Xayah as well, because there's no way that Pootie Gang picked that.
Yeah, they they would have to send Kaisa mid, which my friend plays in low plat as a troll pick whenever his Yasuo gets banned, so I highly doubt we see that in this series. The
Yeah,
Sejuani will be locked in, the Vladimir being hovered at the moment.
yeah, so this pretty much is a Graves mid. And now with the Vladimir hover, that's probably going to be a set support as well. Vladimir, fairly good into Urgot. He's got a lot of innate sustain, and Urgot, well, he has a lot harder time getting on top of Vladimir the same way that he can for a melee top laner such as Set.
And we will see the Xayah come through, so a fairly standard draft here coming out of Pigs Might Fly. Very non-standard for Pootie Gang.
Yeah, I mean, obviously standard Zyra Khan, Jarvan, and then Diana in the mid lane. While it's not, the bread and butter Corki Azir we've been seeing, it is definitely a much more normal pick than the Graves mid, Sejuani jungle, and set support here for the Pootie gang.
Yeah, and is the team fighting ability that pigs bring to the table. You've got the Rakan combo with Jarvan on top of Moonfall. Uh, that alone right there, tossing a Featherstorm into the mix, is pretty terrifying to play into.
Yeah,
But a lot more pick potential on the side of Pootie Gang, I think.
yeah. I mean, they've got Sejuani, they've got Set, and of course Graves with the smoke screen and the ability to dash forward and get Kaisa on top. That's huge for engaging, picking, and they're pretty beefy too as well. Graves, Set, Vladimir. All three of them, while they do a fair amount of damage, they are going to be building bruiser items, so it will be a little bit harder for Pigs Might Fly maybe to blow them up with a Diana.
Yeah, and as long as they don't clump up in team fights, they actually don't play front to back that poorly. Vladimir dives the back line. You've got Set and Sejuani standing up in front of the Kaisa doing damage over the top. Graves can kind of play wherever he wants to in that fight for the most part, just hit whoever's in front of him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Pigs Might Fly are able to go for that front to back team fight. While Pootie Tang Gang, obviously they're a go 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 team, so keeping Zaya safe is really a huge win condition here for Pigs Might Fly.
Yeah, and strong scaling picks on both sides. This game could stay close for a very long time, even into the deep late game with how powerful each individual champion is. The solo laners match up fairly nicely with each other. Graves late game is a monster, and so is Xayah. I think Xayah has the edge in the AD carry matchup late, depending on what Kaisa build actually gets taken here.
Yeah, the Kaisa build is an interesting one because, of course, there's a lot of AD for Graves, but also a lot of AP for Vladimir. If this is going to be that hybrid, mostly magic damage build that Kaisa goes for, it could do that, or it could be a little more traditional ADC, just damage and crit build.
And so we do see the champions being locked in here. The curse of pro draft, as you may have guessed, is also that we have to wait for the draft to come through on the client and the spectator delay. So I have to figure out more things to talk about here.
Yeah, that both teams are taking their sweet time, letting the clock run down in regular champion select. Although I just realized that finally that I'm like on the stream manager for Twitch. I've never used this before, but you can just run a 60-second ad break. I'm considering doing that.
It might happen. It depends how it's feeling on that one, but yeah, based on what I can see on the client itself, we did call things correctly. It is going to be the set support Graves mid for Siggy, Wiggy, and Exercise. So
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one just because Diana doesn't fare nearly as well into a Graves as she would into a more traditional mage, or even, say, the Vladimir.
yeah, definitely. And in the mid lane matchup specifically, it's going to be very interesting to see how well Graves stands up to Diana. I don't know if this is a straight counter pick. I'm going to admit that I don't know the matchup data that well, but Graves traditionally can hold his own against most all-ins just because of how naturally tanky the champion is and how much dueling potential it has.
Yeah, so we're basically looking at, a Graves who's, basically trying not to get bursted early by Diana. Of course, the two of them will scale fairly well into the mid game, and then Diana really turns into that monster in the late game. Then another kind of mismatch in the jungle, the Sejuani versus Jarvan, where one of them is definitely much more early game oriented, especially since Sejuani doesn't even have the benefit of the doubt of having melee solo laners.
Yeah, definitely not. Graves does not qualify. Set's not the one up in the top lane, so it'd be very interesting to see where Sejuani does put her focus once she starts ganking. On the other side, I think it's pretty cut and dry. Jarvan wants to gank bot because one, Xayah Rakan is not a particularly strong 2v2 lane, but they are really lethal with gank setup, and Set doesn't offer that much protection for Kai'Sa, who's a fairly weak early game ADC.
You know, I miss the days when Xayah Khan was the best 2v2 lane.
Yeah, and you could cheese people level 1 sometimes, definitely level 2 by
Yeah,
by
the
dropping W and E on people.
yeah, the double W start for to camp them in the tri brush when you're red side and just waiting there to kill them after your jungler solo takes the buff. I miss that.
Yeah, as a former Rakan one trick recovering support main, I do miss that they that they've taken away the flash W setup for his ulti, being able to engage from beyond
Yeah,
the
a billion
screen
miles
when the
away.
camera's locked. But
Yeah,
still a very solid bot lane, and the scaling on on Xayah hasn't really diminished any. That champion hasn't received any changes in quite a while, if I remember correctly.
yeah, mostly just item changes, but I am really looking forward to these team fights late game because this could be decided early by early ganks and pressure and starting to snowball a lead, but I fully expect this to go super late. I mean, you've got Vladimir, Sejuani, Kai'Sa, Xayah, Diana.
Right, and you toss setup champions in there like Set and and the raw individual power of Graves at like 3 or 4 items. It definitely could go the distance, and that's the thing is like Jarvan super early game focused, Diana great roaming power. Same for Rakan if he chooses to leave lane. If pigs get ahead early, it's not even necessarily decided with the scaling power that Pootie Tang have drafted.
Yeah, this will be super interesting to see. The spectator delay is down now, so we're getting into game here. Give it a second to boot up so that you're not on black screen simulator. And we're switching over here. Pootie Tang Gang versus Pigs Might Fly. It's still black screen simulator. Now you get to see the skins. I forgot to do all of the changes to the overlay, of course, because I'm a monkey. There we go.
I have to admit, off the bat, I am disappointed in X-Craze and Mark Hames for not running the same series, Xayah and Rakan skins.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell? I mean, you've got Star Guardian Xayah, Cosmic Dawn Rakan. What are you trying to pull here, guys?
I'm starting to get mixed vibes. We'll hope that their synergy is not as off as their skins are.
Yeah, I mean, X-Craze, Mark Hames, they have been a fairly competent bot lane all split. But of course, since these are cross-conference semifinals here, Pootie Tang Gang and Pigs Might Fly have never played. So Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy have not gone up against X-Craze and Mark Hames, except for maybe in scrims. We don't know about those. Did I lose you?
No, sorry. I was making sure that my spectator was not bugged, as I feared it might be.
Ah,
But it looks like we're good.
well,
Champions running out onto the rift here. Can start introductions.
yeah, we are into game here, and Pootie Tang Gang, the one seed from the one seed from the Lunari Conference is on the blue side. We've got tank players LOL in the top lane on Vladimir. I loves Rachel, taking a little bit of damage from Rembones, but he is on Sejuani in the jungle, Exasai in the mid lane on Graves, and Dirty Audacity and Dr. Siggy Wiggy in the bot lane on Kai'Sa and Set.
And over on the red side, we've got Pigs Might Fly. We've got OG the Arbiter up the top lane on Urgot, Rembones in the jungle piloting Jarvan the fourth, Smooths in the mid lane on Diana, and X-Craze and Mark Hames on the lovers duo, Xayah and Rakan in the bot lane.
And Xayah actually having Hail of Blades is pretty interesting here because it does suggest that they will be going for these early trades, trying to get the 3 auto attacks and then pull the feathers back immediately for that chip damage.
Yeah, I think we might actually have the rare aggressive Xayah Rakan bot lane with a support that you can bully a little bit in set. he gets to trade a lot of the damage you do back, but Set in support lane is very tricky to pot.
Yeah, and actually, Dirty Audacity also is rocking the Hail of Blades. So these are some very aggressive bot lanes. The rune builds, at least. And now
Level
a little
2
bit of
gank El Clasico.
Yeah, the level 2 forcing the flash, Exercise. He also missed some CS there, just not being able to catch the wave the way that he wanted to. So already Smooth's coming out at a bit of an advantage here in the early game.
Yeah, and that was kind of Exercise kind of did that to himself, honestly, with how quickly he annihilated the wave level 1. There is a disparity in the jungle setup as we see a bit of an all-in there from Dr. Siggy Wiggy and Dirty Audacity. They will blow the ignite, exchange it for X-Gray's heal. X-Gray is pretty low now.
Yeah, X-Gray's is chugging that potion, but now the priority has been handed over to Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy, and they're looking to try and get some vision on top of Rembones. But again, Smooths, just with that early pressure against Exercise, gonna have the level lead, goes in at 3, and starts to pull ahead just a little bit. The CS is about even, but the way that they're trading has already forced out Exercise potion. And now we might see Mark Hames go for something. Nah, just getting heals.
Just grabbing heals. We've seen Rimbones back already. They did start on opposite sides of the map, these junglers, but with Jarvan backing early, we may not see them run into each other at top scuttle. He's just going to run out to the bot scuttle first.
He will get spotted out by that ward, however, and that was the proactive move into the mid lane, or into the jungle, rather, the blue side jungle, by Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy. However, Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy are pushed under turret, so they won't be able to do anything as Rembones does get his bot side scuttle. Now Smooths might want to go for something here. Exercise is the same level, and does have a fair CS lead now, about 7 or 8 CS as this wave comes in, but now I Love Rachel in that jungle looking for that
Interesting to
raptor.
see the CS lead on a character that had to blow flash level 1.
Yeah, and without a combat summoner either. So that's interesting that Exercise is actually doing so well, but he might have pushed up too far. Smooth's moving forward. Rembones is here. He knows that I Love Rachel's there as well. And now the flash forward by Siggy Wiggy. They're going to get the knock up in return. Mark Hames getting it on Dirty Audacity, but X-Trace has to flash away. Mark Hames going to get the shield. Now some heals coming out. The plasma hasn't popped on either of them, and that's a flash for flash. Actually, a flash for 2 flashes in favor of Pigs Might Fly.
Yeah, more damage goes down onto X-Craze there, but the extra dash range from Mark Hames, Rakan being super instrumental in blocking up a little bit more of that damage, gets the shield and heal down onto X-Craze. And it's actually the opposite of what we expected. The Hex Flash set being more aggressive than Rakan and Xayah.
Yeah, and it's paying some dividends too, because Pootie Tang Gang are currently about 15 CS up over X-Craze, and this is going to mean that they get the favorable back here as the wave crashes in. Xayah already picking up that pickaxe and the mana charm. It is going to be a this kind of hybrid build where you go Tier and Manamune, and then you start building more on-hit AP.
And I think that fits the way they want to play this comp really well. The Mana Moon pickup means you scale a little better than the other traditional Kai'Sa builds, and it does give you a little bit more pop to your autos. It's harder to itemize against for the front line. It makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and actually X-Craze didn't manage to get his back off in time with Mark Hames using the Xayah Rakan interaction. So he actually loses 8 seconds coming back to lane, and while that's, it sounds fairly small, but now Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy are already there. They can actually just shove this right in if they want to, and there won't be anything that X-Craze can do to catch the wave. It can put him even farther behind here.
Yeah, maybe we'll see, as a result of that shove, Rembones pay a visit to the bot lane. He's on the bot side of the map, so we see an engage here. Exercise going super low.
Oh!
Does he have enough healing? Not quite. The Ignite will bring him down alongside the minions.
That last tick of Ignite literally last chance, and Smooth picks up the solo kill for first blood. However, due to these CS discrepancies, specifically in the bot lane, Pootie Gang is still about 400 gold ahead.
Yeah, they're still up. Exercise will burn the TP to get a better lane advantage for himself, and that's just not tracking the timing. Smooth's hit 6 before Exercise did, and made it look pretty easy with the all-in. Never dropped below 75%.
Which is actually kind of funny that Smooth's got level 6 even though he's at like a 15 C, or he was at a 5 or 10 CS disadvantage at that point. It suggests to me that Smooth just hasn't really been farming very well, even though he is getting the, he's close enough, so he's getting the XP. He's just not getting the gold from the minions. But now he can actually start to zone off Exercise because he does have that Hextech Revolver.
Yeah, makes your upfront burst in that those short E trades much more annoying. Rimbone's sitting on a control ward here in the bot lane.
And, whoa, they're here, and I Love Rachel is actually going to get the stun off. The root comes through, but the Haymaker going to shield so much damage. Siggy is going to go down, but now Mark Hames is going to follow, and that's 2 for 1, and a botched gank here for Pigs, and they might actually lose a third. X-Craze doesn't have any more summoner spells. One more auto attack should do it. The double kill here for I Loves Rachel. A beautiful counter gank by Pootie Gang.
That was actually a really nice setup play. I Loves Rachel was taking Krugs in the bot lane, and Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy, either they have ESP or they just knew that that's a play that Rembones would go for, were baiting it for a while, and then as he was starting his back, they walked up to make sure he actually engaged that.
Yeah, and I actually think that Pootie Gang might have caught a little bit of Rembones as he walked through through that alcove, so they knew that he was there the entire time. This is going to net the Cloud Drake to Pootie Gang, and now Dirty Audacity has almost doubled X-Craze's CS here at 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's not looking good if you're really hoping for your bot lane to have a chance in the 2v2 lane. I would actually like to see Rembones and maybe a TP from OG the Arbiter try to get X-Craze and Mark Hames out of this lane now, because the longer you leave them in this 2v2, the more chances for dives and 2v2 kills you give Dirty Audacity and Siggy Wiggy here.
Yeah, and it looks like... Oh, I was hoping that Dirty Audacity and Dr. Siggy Wiggy would be going top lane and swap there with tank players low, trying to get some pressure around that Rift Herald, since I Loves Rachel is now actually at a comparable item breakpoint, but still is offering a lot in these fights, especially when you consider Set. Trying to get that Rift Herald could help push Pootie Gang's lead a little bit here.
Yeah, because in the top side of the map, 3v3, exercise disparity with the amount of damage that Smooths bring to the fight means they can't really contest Herald without a pick first.
But now, Mark Hames is not level 6, so Dr. Siggy Wiggy and Dirty Audacity can look for something here. They just need to find a really good face breaker. Siggy Wiggy does have flash, so he could try and flash forward, and it looks like he's going to go for it. He forces the ultimate by X-Craze.
Yeah, and X-Craze knew that was going to happen. He was ready on it, finger on the R key. Nice reaction time there, and it will just be that trade of summoners. But Dirty Audacity flashes as well. Both of those summoners down. You see an awkward situation here in the mid.
Yeah, I Loves Rachel getting caught out, going to take a full Moonfall, and the shutdown comes through by Smooth. Now it's a 2v2, and Dirty Audacity is going to go down. X-Craze is going to get that last auto attack, puts 300 gold into his pocket, and it's a good return by Pootie Gang. 2 more kills.
Yeah, good discipline there from Mark Hames, not auto-attacking there when she caught up into range of Dirty Audacity. Nowhere to poor Kaisa to go.
Yeah, so and now Smooths and Rembones are just kind of holding this turret. Even though Siggy Wiggy has roamed up, they are going to back off. They don't want to get dove by Exasai and Dr. Siggy Wiggy. However, this gives X-Craze more time to free farm and come back into this lane. He's 2-1 now, still about 15 CS down, but he actually has, that kind of glimmer in his eye.
Yeah, and actually allow Exasai to pick up a plate here in mid, which is going to help him out quite a bit. He's down the 2 kills. He still has that slight CS advantage, but there's no way way that he has more gold than Smooth does.
Yeah, just a quick gold check. Yeah, Smooth has about 200 gold more, but that second plate really did a lot for it. And Smooth, he's looking for the solo kill before XSI can get back. He's going to try and find the kill. He does. Killing spree. 3-0 for this Diana.
Yeah, really, you can actually see the question mark pings. Really interesting call there to go for the plate. Didn't end up being worth for him. Yeah, at the point where you start taking the third tower shot is when you know you've stayed for plates too long.
Yeah, generally. And I think XSI learned that one the hard way. He doesn't have his TP, and with the dragon, not actually up, but that is still a two-man knockup here. Smooth's in the middle of the fight. The TP coming out by OG, the Arbiter. Now, Dr. Siggy has to back off. Meanwhile, I Loves Rachel is gonna go into the meat grinder. Mark Hames falls to tank players, but it's a 2-for-1 for Pigs.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that PTG opted into that because XSI was down and did not have TP to join as soon as he respawned. So it was going to be a man disadvantage, assuming both the TP from OG the Arbiter came through. And they will lose 2 for it.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing really that Pootie Gang could do to stop that man disadvantage. And as you said, XSI didn't have the teleport back up yet. OG the Arbiter was teleporting in, but there was no way for tank players low to stop that. You know, he's Vladimir. He doesn't have any hard CC. So they just took a 4v5 and they lost it. I mean, they did pick up Mark Hames and gave a kill to tank players low, but that traded even with OG the Arbiter.
And interestingly enough, I think you called it at the beginning of that fight, the dragon wasn't up. There's no real reason for either team to be there and fighting. You could argue for vision, but to drop TPs in a full team fight, especially in a 4v5 scenario, it just makes even less sense.
Yeah, and now that OG the Arbiter has committed his teleport, he is making sure that he has to stay down here. Meanwhile, tank player's low is going to get turret plates, is going to get a CS advantage here over this Urgot. And in an otherwise pretty even lane, this could start to snowball in Vladimir's favor.
Yeah, especially since OG the Arbiter is not opting for any early magic resistance, this lane is going to be a little bit more difficult. I don't think there's a chance, barring any major mistakes, for him to die solo to tank player's wall. But an interesting other effect is that I Loves Rachel just picks up Herald for free.
Yeah, it's a trade of Dragon for Herald. But this turret pressure could very much go in the favor of Pootie Gang if they can get a good Herald off, you know, crack that first turret of the game. The game has been paused, and it is pretty much dead even here.
21.9k for each team, 1 dragon apiece, 0 towers taken, and honestly, I think with the kill advantage, Smooths might be the scariest thing on the map right now.
Yeah, he's 3-0. He's finished his proto belt, as compared to XSI, who's still only about 2/3 of the way into his Death's Dance. And both of them have finished boots, but that magic penetration is going to mean a lot in trying to cut through that Aegis of the Legion. So
yeah, and the extra distance and damage over the top that you gain from proto belt is not to be underestimated in the early game. It can make a character that almost gets 100 to 0'd by Diana, straight up 100 to 0'd by Diana.
Yeah, and this is a Diana, I mean, who has been able to solo kill XSI twice, I believe, or at least find 2 convincing kills. Currently Smooth also has level 11. XSI doesn't, and Smooth has that ignite, so this Graves is going to have to walk on some eggshells trying to get around this Diana.
Yeah, and the ability to continue to farm out and gain items in a lane where your opponent has kill pressure on you pretty much always is really difficult to do, especially as a short-range character like Graves.
Yeah, I mean, Graves had that early, the level 1, level 2 CS and pressure advantage, but that was basically because he had about 150 more range than the Smooths. Meanwhile, now Smooth actually has all of the tools to get on top of a Graves, which makes it a lot harder for him to get that kind of pressure and pick up that CS. We see that the 15 CS lead that XSI had is now less than 10. Meanwhile, something might happen in the top lane, but it's still OG the Arbiter and tank players low are just kind of stepping around each other, not doing anything, and a little bit of a trade in the bot lane.
Yeah, and there you saw the way that the lane was probably intended to go for most of Pigs, is that Set would be engaging on Rakan, and Rakan would just be able to dash away. In that scenario, Set gets almost no damage down onto the 2v2. Really has to be going for Xayah for anything to happen.
Yeah, especially with Guardian up too. I mean, the passive shield that Rakan has, plus the Guardian, plus the shield that he gets from his E, it's just going to mitigate anything that Set can do. Meanwhile, there was a little bit of a movement by Pootie Gang to bring I Loves Rachel in, but it looked like Pig knew about it, so they were just going to back off, let Rembones clear a little bit more of his jungle before this, well, there actually isn't much on the map. The Dragon still has 220 left.
Yeah, any move right now would be for I Loves Rachel to use the Rift Herald to make a play for a tower, which is kind of difficult to do in bot lane. They're almost never going to have the shove on a Xayah Rakan lane, so you can't bring it mid because Smooths will probably double kill you if Rembones gets called in. Your only option is kind of top lane if you're gonna end up using this. It's almost too. I'm bad at reading the timer on that, but I would imagine fairly close to 30 seconds.
It's like a 240-second timer, so 60 seconds, so just under a minute now, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so just under a minute now. Will expire before the next major objective is the key.
But it is going to be dropped in the mid lane. Meanwhile, a movement in the bot lane is going to put Pigs at a disadvantage. They lose the first turret, but they do get that turret that they wanted. However, the Rift Herald is going to find a second charge, and this might mean a second turret here for Pootie Gang. Rift Herald will go down, but that turret is a couple of autos from going down from Graves.
Yeah, an interesting call there. The bot lane for PTG just drops away, lets Smooths and Rembones start on the tower, and the Rift Herald in the mid lane gets them the first tower, when that was almost certainly the play that Pigs were trying to make.
Yeah, it was a much smarter map move here by Pootie Gang. They saw earlier that Rembones and Smooths had come down. They were trying to find some kills and the first turret, but this time Dirty Audacity and Dr. Siggy Wiggy were expecting it. They dropped away, and at that point, you've got the Rift Herald in the mid lane. There's nothing that Pigs can do aside from try and make the best of this bad situation. So now, the Dragon will come up in 20 seconds, and if Mark Hames gets picked here, he won't, but if he did, that would be bad.
It is particularly difficult to pick Rakan, especially if he does burn his ult. It's almost impossible, but then, you know, you can say you got the cooldown out.
So now, the teleport is available for OG the Arbiter, and he's just going to go in to try and start this. Mark Hames has the ultimate. Will he go for that Rakan? Rembones moving forward, taking a lot of damage, but that's the Rakan ultimate use. The quickness is here. Mark Hames in the middle of it, and Rembones jumps in, flashes out. Mark Hames going to go down, though. Smooth will follow. That's all the damage. And now, Graves and Sejuani will both fall as well. Tank players low, going very low, but OG the Arbiter is trying to find Dirty Audacity instead. The flash heal away. Tank players low. One more big auto from X-Craze will do it, but now X-Craze is within spitting range himself. Tank players low. Gonna shut him down. OG the Arbiter on the run. He's gonna try and find Set. He gets him, but that's the ace for Pootie Gang.
Such a close team fight. A lot of really good individual outplays. Almost every summoner blown off of the map, with the exception of 2 flashes on the side of PTG. And Mark Hames keep being able to keep both summoners, but it will be the side of PTG coming out on top of this one. They will claim the Dragon as their prize for their outplay.
Yeah, I mean, and the summoners that you were talking about, Exasai, I Loves Rachel, and Mark Hames, those were the 3 that melted at the very beginning of that fight. So, it's pretty interesting to see that Pootie Gang just managed to outplay that. You know, Rembones took a little bit too much damage, and then Smooths just jumped into a situation that he really wasn't prepared for, got blown up, and that meant that tank players Lul and Dirty Audacity could just kind of pump out the damage. So now, It is a small gold lead here for Pootie Gang, about 1,000, but they do have the extra dragon as well. It's a 2-to-1 Drake lead. There is no second Rift Herald since the first one was dropped and or picked up and then dropped so late. So the Baron is on the map here at 20 minutes and a half.
Yeah, and with the exact comps that each team has, even at 20.5 minutes, if a pick comes through, Baron is a possibility. There's enough tank, there's enough damage coming through. They're not going to get too low doing it.
Yeah, and Exocai is going to have to jump away, but Smooths already gets the flash, gets the ultimate out of him, so Graves will be at a slight disadvantage trying to get away from any other engagements that Pigs might try and drop on him.
Yeah, just a little bit out of position there. Is still matching his original lane opponent, Smooths, but with the finished Death Stance, it is going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, for Diana to try and pop him the same way she was doing in lane.
Yeah, at least it'll be a little bit harder before that Morellonomicon comes in, which we do see Smooths is building, and a lot of the time it has been the subject of debate, like, is Morellonomicon a decent enough item to go for second or third, or do you just sit on the Oblivion Orb? But in this case, when you've got the Vladimir, the Graves, and then of course Kaisa and Set, which have less healing but still a fair amount, I think that's a no-brainer. Morellonomicon shuts down 4 champions.
Yeah, for sure. It is 100% Morellonomicon second here. You're never going to complain about the pen that it gives you or the extra AP, but the Grievous Wounds over the top to this team comp specifically, a must-buy for sure, and we'll see it almost completed here on the Smooths. It really comes down to the fact that Diana being this far ahead, if you're PTG, you really just want to be splitting the map up. Clumping up in a team fight scenario, especially against a Jarvan, is almost a death sentence. The fact that they won that last fight through sheer individual mechanics is not a consistent way to play out the mid game, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. I think the only thing that you have to watch out for when you're splitting up the map like that is Smooths, just being able to solo kill people. But of course, as you said, Graves with the Death Stance makes it significantly harder, especially before that Morellonomicon comes through. But it does look like 3 members of Pigs Might Fly are coming into the top lane. They know that Exocai still doesn't have his flash for about half the cooldown for 2.5 more minutes. So they are just going to try and pressure him and get priority over this Baron.
Yeah, and the constant Baron vision dance is one both Siggy Wiggy and Mark Hames are perfectly used to. The level these teams are playing at, there's no real deciding factor on vision. Both teams have a fair amount of it and know how to fight for it, so it comes down a lot to rotations and who can make the X factor play, be somewhere that your opponent hasn't predicted you being.
And it seems like, for the most part, Pootie Gang have been able to make these map movements. I mean, the specific one that I'm thinking of is that Rift Herald play that they made in the mid lane. They just kind of out-psyched Pigs Might Fly and ended up not giving away nearly as much as they got. However, that mid lane turret still hasn't gone down, which is very important here because that's gold that's just sitting there that Pootie Gang hasn't been able to take. They just have the potential to take it. And cracking open this mid lane would mean a lot for opening the map up for Pootie Gang. But now it looks like there will be another dragon fight. 15 seconds left on this second Infernal.
Now, and at the moment, PTG has the priority both on vision and on number of players in proximity to the pit.
Oh, Rembones, don't get caught. Because if he does, but Mark Hames will be the one getting hit by the Glacial Prison. Now, that is going to be Smooths moving into the back of the fight, but he gets melted. Exocai picks up the kill credit. Now, the ultimate comes through by OG the Arbiter. He is going to grind up Set, but now the 1v2, it is going to mean that I Loves Rachel will go down to X-Craze. It's a 3-for-1 right now. Rembone's on the way out of the fight. Exocai is going to get knocked up as Rembones comes back. X-Craze on his way, but that's a lot of damage coming through. Mark Hames will fall. Now the nearsighted is going to mean that X-Craze cannot find that kill just yet, but it's a 4 for 2, and maybe Graves will try and do something, but it is definitely a 1 fight if Pigs Might Fly.
Yeah, they will take the Infernal. The effect of Smooths going in 1v3 means that they get to win the fight everywhere around that. Good on Dr. Siggy to instantly showstopper Smooths away from his ADC, buying a little bit more time and a little bit more damage that Dirty Audacity gets to do before going down. But if Diana dives your backline like that in a team fight where there are a bunch of fights happening all around that, those fights are going to be won because they're missing the extra players that they need.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention all of the lockdown that Pootie Gang had was either used on Mark Hames in the beginning of that fight, or then expended onto Smooths when he tried to go in. So Mark Hames, though, has to flash away, is not going to take the Glacial Prison. That one's for Rembones. Rembones does not live. 26 minutes and the jungler's down. Pootie Gang is looking for this Baron.
Yeah, 100% they are. So Rembone's not going to be up for almost the entire duration that they would need to take the Baron. It's already started up here.
And it is burning fast. Dirty Audacity does a lot of damage. You combine that with the Sejuani passive, so it's going to take a miracle. Now the suplex out of the fight. OG the Arbiter does get pulled, but that's a big moonfall. Smooths has to flash away, however. OG the Arbiter is going to be able to take down tank players as well. The Hemoplague not available. Now I Loves Rachel is going to fall as well. OG the Arbiter trying to find some damage. Will he live through Exercise? He will! It's a 4 for nothing, and Pigs are going to be able to find this Baron for themselves.
That thing I said about not clumping up against Diana keeps happening, and the Featherstorm over the top of that is just way too much damage for PTG to survive at this point in the game. They take the 4v5 and they win it with ease.
And they are going to pick up the Baron on all 5 members of Pigs Might Fly. They're currently 3,500 gold ahead, and they managed to win that fight. Just like you said, they clumped up, or Pootie Gang clumped up around Diana, let her get that excellent moonfall, and then OG the Arbiter just refused to die.
Yeah, OG the Arbiter is doing what Graves is supposed to be doing, but better because he has 3 items to do it with and is casually 7-1 and 3. I don't think we've really mentioned how big this Urgot has gotten, at least because I haven't even noticed it until now.
Yeah, the last fight around the dragon, I was like, yeah, you know, he's doing some work. He's been getting these kills with his Fear Beyond Death, but I didn't realize how massive of a presence he was until there, where everyone was just trying to get on top of him after he took out tank players and all. And it just
This man is the only level 16 in the game at the moment, and there's basically no one that matches that right now.
Meanwhile, Exercise might get picked. He's got the Ignite ticking on him, but that is tank players low coming in. Smooths could look for the re-engage, but they will just move away. That's a lot of cooldowns, the Hemoplague and the Teleport among them that have been used here. Oh, another, again, moving forward, getting some chip damage. Tank player's Lowell needs to find some healing here with his transfusions, but for now, it looks like Pigs Might Fly have control and priority here as they push into this bot lane inner turret.
Yeah, basically this game state is going to continue being this game state until Dirty Audacity hits another item. And right now, it looks like that item is going to be Nashers, correct me if I'm wrong.
It should be. I think that is generally the 3rd item of this hybrid Kaisa build. You're looking for more AP in order to hit that breakpoint for your W. Is basically what you're. Yep, the Stinger is all but confirmed.
And we'll see if the extra pressure of this remaining Baron buff can crack the base. They're not full committing to this because they don't have to. The Baron buffed up Siege minion will continue chipping away at these towers until that buff times out for them. And at this point, if you're PTG, you're just stalling for time. You need those items coming through, the finished Boddark onto Exercise and the Nashers onto Dirty Audacity before you really stand a chance to finish the front line.
And about 20 seconds left on this Baron buff, 30 seconds left on this Infernal trait. Pigs Might Fly. They could look for the soul point here against Pootie Gang. They are going to back off. Baron buff about to run out, and it looks like the pigs are going to just try and set up here around this dragon, try and push it to soul.
Yeah, the Baron buff times just perfectly to give them a ridiculous amount of priority. There is not a single blue ward within a screen and a half of Baron pit here, or Dragon pit.
And that is a dragon burned down immediately, but it does look like Pootie Gang are going to finally pick up this mid turret. They get something back at least. It's not quite as good as a dragon, but it's better than nothing at least.
Yeah, that's a smart map play. You know there's no chance of you contesting Dragon or stealing it before it goes down, so you take the only thing on the map that's left for you to take. If they had a little bit better positioning on top wave, I'd say they could pick up that tower as well. They are just going to reset here and shove out lanes. They will at some point have to deal with the vision in their bot side jungle, but for right now we turn back to a fairly even game state.
Yeah, currently the gold is in favor of Pigs Might Fly, but the pressure, the vision, it's not really swinging in favor of one team or another. All of that bot side jungle vision that you were talking about, it's not like Pigs Might Fly have been positioning around the bot side, or it's not like they will be for a fair amount of time since they have no dragon to take. That's entirely cleared, and the next big objective on the map is the Baron in about a minute and a half here, and that's why we see Smooths there up on the top side just pushing waves, clearing, biding his time.
Yeah, and that should be the name of the game. You don't really want to be going for any proactive plays at this point if you're PTG, unless you see someone ridiculously out of position, because a pick would be super good for you, especially one of the two massive shutdowns onto OG the Arbiter X-Grays, 600 gold apiece on top of the normal 300 for those champions.
Yeah, but, you know, of course, if you look for a pick and you find it, that certainly could just mean Pootie Gang gets the Baron. But if they lose it, that could just be inhibitors or possibly even the game, depending on if this is a big enough team fight. So now, as you said, they are clearing out that vision. They want to make sure that no one can really get, you know, they don't want Pigs to be able to get a read on them here. But with 30 seconds left on the Baron, that is what we see. A clump of 4 here in the bot side jungle for Pigs Might Fly. They're going to take as much of the jungle as they can, and they might look for their own pick with OG the Arbiter here.
Yeah, this is setting up to be a pretty easy dive. Some of the members of PTG are moving in, and they have all moved around to the front side of the tower, just looking to clear waves and put down as much pressure as possible. Mainly, the big thing is they're actually keeping this vision state the same way they want it in the bot side jungle. 4 control wards committed to the bottom side of the map, while Baron being the only objective that's up.
Yeah, and just look at the vision scores here. You've got 60 vision score for Dr. Siggy Wiggy. Mark Hames, on the other hand, has 102, and that just shows how methodical Pigs is being with just taking as much vision as they possibly can, clearing out Pootie Gang. And of course, Pootie Gang trying to do the same thing, they're just not really in that position to be ahead to like make these pushes into the enemy jungle. And OG the Arbiter, while all of this is happening, this vision dance is occurring, he's going for this turret, and he's just going to take it. He's tanking like 50 turret shots. He's still just going to take it.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to care a whole lot. In a similar vein of conversation, 49 to 27, the vision score between the two junglers, and any wards that get placed in response to the vision priority that Pigs have, they just get to take and buff up their vision score, just feeding wards in for cannon fodder. So it is still a correct call to place them, but the amount of priority they have on the map is definitely inflating their vision scores a little bit here.
Yeah, so it does, I mean, again, Pootie Gang has managed to push that vision line back. They have vision everywhere but the pit itself here around this blue side Baron jungle, and however, that's not what Pigs Might Fly are going for. They again are pushing this vision the other direction. They want it in that bot side so that they can contest Soul here and try and steal that away. Then they have the combat advantage for any Baron fights to come up.
Yeah, there is 5-man strong wrapping the top side of the pit here, trying to get more priority, more vision, They have committed all 5 members to this, so Pigs have to back off and respect it for now. The Dragon not up for another 18 seconds, and right now, the pit's being controlled by PTG.
Yeah, Pootie Gang are waiting here. They're going to cede a little bit of pressure here. X-Craze and Mark Hames are back. X-Craze is level 16, 4 full items. It's 100% crit to Dirty Audacity's 3 items. Granted, Manamune is a very strong item, but I'm not sure if it's enough to beat the 100% crit Xayah, especially with that healing reduction on the Executioner's Calling. However, that is going to be also used by Dr. Sugiwiki. He tries to find X-Craze, but he will not. He uses the Haymaker, but it's not going to keep him alive for very long. Now, the big fear coming through. They're going to find I Loves Rachel. That's 2, 3, 4. Exasai is on the run. The Soul is over to the Pigs, and they are flying. They've spread their wings, and they have taken the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and that's that's a fight that obviously PTG opted into. You get the Showstopper over the top, forces out X-Craze's ultimate, and on the backside, the ults coming in from Rimbones and Smooths just absolutely annihilate the carries for side of PTG. I don't know that they wanted to force quite that hard. If you decide you're going to contest Soul, you have to contest Soul. Maybe they could have played it differently, but it will end up being the game as a result.
Yeah, I mean, there was really nothing that the carries of Pootie Gang could do there. Dirty Audacity didn't get the opportunity to even press any of his safety abilities. He died with that stopwatch.
Died with stopwatch, flash, ult, and heal. Feels bad, man. But the first game of the day, or of the series at least, going over to the side of Pigs, really cleanly played by them. The odd Graves mid as a response to Diana not working out exactly like PTG expected, and we'll have to see how they adapt to the draft for game 2.
Yeah, the draft, and then the kind of map state. Pigs managed to just pull ahead in the scaling, so I think that was mainly a draft problem for Pootie Gang. It was very unconventional, as we were talking about during the draft, but we'll have to see what they adjust to in the next game. But for now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. welcome back. We are back into Pro Draft U for Champion Select of Game 2, Pigs versus Pootie Tang Gang, and I screwed up the match score.
We'll avoid talking about that.
Yeah, there we go. Pigs won the last game, if you couldn't tell. They are up 1-0 in the series, and the bans have come through. So it's Karthus, Olaf, Ornn taken away by Pigs, and Pootie Tang Gang are going to ban away Talia, Misfortune, and Mordekaiser. Same as last game.
Yep, exact same bans. We will see Pigs pick the Jarvan again, and Tristana Taric is the auto-locked bot lane for PTG.
Yep.
So already a big shift there in terms of both playstyle and goal of your comp, because Taric kind of locks you into a playstyle.
Yeah, I am definitely interested by this. Tristana Taric is a weird combo. Tristana isn't exactly meta, and there are a lot of ADCs who are better with Taric, namely Kalista is like the huge one. But I mean, perhaps Pootie Tang Gang doesn't really want to have Kalista. You know, maybe they can't play it. Who knows?
More interesting than that to me is the fact that they left Jarvan Diana up as a combo again, not banning away either one, and Cho'Gath will complement that fairly well.
Yeah,
Was a second round ban in the last game.
and Pigs were actually the one that banned him away last time, so maybe they're taking it just so they make sure that tank players, lol, doesn't get his hands on it. But it looks like the Sejuani is being hovered here again for Pootie Tang Gang. This one, again with the Taric, will round out the first pick phase, and we're going into second ban phase here for Pootie Tang Gang. Let's see what they take away.
They will look to ban the Morgana, as they did in the last pro draft as well.
Nope.
And instead it'll be the shift.
Yeah, they're gonna take away Rakan. They don't want that lovers duo again. Meanwhile, Vladimir taken away by Pig. They don't want that into Cho'Gath. And look at that, the Morgana rounding it out.
Yep, taking away some good champions for Mark Hames to be on. I doubt we'll see the return of Xayah with Rakan banned. There's almost no reason to play it without the Rakan. Especially not into a Tristana Taric lane. You don't exactly need it.
Ooh, Sion being hovered here for Pootie Tang Gang. Interesting into the Cho'Gath. Ooh, Malphite. Big beefy boys. We'll see which big beefy boy tank players lol gets his hands on. It will be Malphite.
I'm intrigued. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if Tristana actually is the ADC. We could see a return of mid Tristana. Has not been popular in a very long time. I would not expect to see it into Diana, but this draft is starting to look really weird for PTG, to say the least.
I mean, any weirder than last draft, but the Tristana, I think it might go a little better than the Graves. At least you have better methods of getting away, but of course you are much squishier than a Graves. So this, I think it'll just come down to execution again. Unfortunately for Exocide, he didn't execute very well on the Graves mid. Last time he got solo killed and ended up leaving the laning phase like 0-3. So.
And Sivir will be the champion for X-Craze alongside the Bard for Mark Hames. I like this actually a lot, into specifically Taric. Among other things, Bard gives you a lot of roaming power. Your ults are, dare I say, catastrophic if you landed on more than 2 people, with the Diana Jarvan following it up. It's not a very good time to be caught in Bard ult, that's for sure.
Wow, so this will not be Tristana mid, it will be LeBlanc.
Okay. I've played both sides of this matchup a lot, and I just personally don't like LeBlanc into Diana. It's not necessarily a counter matchup either way necessarily, but I think the the short range burst that you have, your target is not really Diana, so you don't do a whole lot.
Oh, okay, just a quick update from draft. The Cho'Gath was an accidental pick by Pigs Might Fly.
Interesting.
They informed that the Cho'Gath is supposed to be Malphite. Then Pootie Tang Gang picked up Malphite and said, "This is Cho'Gath." so,
Okay.
so they're swapping them. They're swapping them. Cho'Gath is on Pootie Tang Gang. Malphite is going over to Pigs Might Fly.
Okay, in that sense, that just makes Bard Ultimate even scarier
Yeah,
because now
that's what
there
I'm
are
thinking.
three big AoE ultimates on top of that. And Cho'Gath is. I don't know if it really does anything for PTG's comp. In my opinion, I mean it's a safe pick for sure. It gets really scary to try and lane against, depending on how it's played. But in terms of team fighting, it doesn't do more than Malphite does necessarily.
Yeah, I prefer the Malphite on Pigs comp, but for Pootie Tang Gang tank players lol, I think he's just gonna try and use this to bully Malphite. Just be tankier, or not be tankier, but just be harder to kill and deal more damage than this Malphite. So in the 1v1, I think this favors Pootie Tang Gang, but once we get out of the laning phase and into skirmishes, all bets are off.
And speaking of things that favor Pootie Tangang in the lane, uh, all bets being off, I think Pigs have a much stronger team fight. I think they had a stronger team fight in last game. I think they've drafted themselves the same kind of stronger team fight in this game. Taric Ultimate going to be the big deciding factor for whether or not PTG survived the upfront burst and how well that's timed. Uh, but it's definitely not the easiest comp to execute on. They
Well,
do also kind of just lack damage for multiple targets.
yeah, and I was gonna say, not to mention the Taric ultimate, that could be very easily countered by Bard ultimate. If there are other avenues that Pig find of getting into the fight, just using Sivir ultimate, for example, you just get your entire team running at them. If they hit the Taric ultimate there, that's what the Tempered Fate is for. You just wait that out.
Yeah, this has to be a really standout performance from XSI in my opinion because LeBlanc is very tricky to play into team comps like this. It's very difficult when your team is relying on you for single target damage, in the sense that you don't have anything in the jungle or top lane that really does any damage. Malphite and Sejuani, they both add damage to team comps in general, by their existence. The Sejuani passive comes to mind specifically. But in terms of like carry potential, you don't have anything like a Vladimir to rely on this.
Yeah, the only real AoE damage that Pootie Tang Gang would be kind of relying on here is like Tristana bombs, but also again, this is a very tanky top half of the map for Pigs Might Fly. They've got Malphite, Jarvan, Diana, and that's going to be very hard to cut through if Tristana doesn't get ahead and stay ahead. Meanwhile, X-Craze is always going to have that 400 CS Sivir power spike.
And I'm not even necessarily convinced that Tristana out late game Sivir, in any sense of the term. They're both hyper carries. They both have ridiculous 3, 4, and 5 item power spikes. And the only benefit really that Tristana has over Sivir in this matchup specifically is that she can keep most of her enemies that want to uh, jump on her at a fairly decent range. Diana, melee champion, Cho'Gath, melee champion, Sivir, one of the lower attack ranges for ADCs. You just have to make sure you don't get caught by any of these standout abilities like Cho'Gath Rupture or specifically Bard Ultimate.
That's Malphite. That's Malphite, by the way.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
that okay. I'm staring at Pro Draft right now, and it's really messing with me.
yeah, right. I keep thinking like, okay, so Pootie Tang Gang, what are they doing with this Malphite? And then I glance over at the actual client. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a Cho'Gath.
Right. I'm just gonna switch the client right now.
Yeah,
But
actually, I'll switch to the
same
client
rule
as well.
applies actually. As long as you're avoiding Malphite Ultimate or finding a way to stop Malphite Ultimate going directly onto Tristana every fight, the rest of the team you can kind of just kite away from.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you can again, this is an execution thing. If Pootie Tang Gang can keep themselves at arm's length here and counter these engages using Tarek and Cho'Gath and Sejuani's ability to peel, I think this can go very well for them. But every time they make a mistake, Pigs can just win a fight.
And it that's what I was gonna say. It's come down completely to mistakes. If XSI and Dirty Audacity's positioning isn't flawless for pretty much the entire game, there are so many things that catch you. Malphite Ultimate catches you, Bard Ult catches you, Flag and Drag catches you, Diana into Moonfall catches you, and when Sivir buffs all of their movement speed and they're all just running at you at the same time, you can only flash one of those things.
Yeah, definitely. And it's weird because, you know, we keep talking about this like this is like a full pick comp, but really Pigs Might Fly isn't a pick comp. It's just a we have 7 different ways of engaging on you, so you better not screw up comp. Because obviously once they get a pick with one of their abilities, you know, even if they blow like Flag and Drag and Cataclysm as well as the Unstoppable Force, you've still killed half the damage on Pootie Tang Gang. So you can
Yeah,
keep going.
definitely. And it feels like the it feels like the Naruto line, you are within the range of my divination, because at any point if you're within about 650 to 700 units of any one of 3 champions on the side of Pigs, you're either relying on Taric ult, Flash, or a really nice buffered rocket jump. So it does come down to execution, but as far as lanes are concerned, I actually think PTG is better off than they were last game. Cho'Gath doesn't have any issues into Malphite. LeBlanc can kind of deal with Diana in lane, doesn't scale quite as hard as Diana does, and has a rough time killing her, but should almost never die to Diana solo like Graves did last game. And Tristana Tarek doesn't really have that many issues with Sivir Bard, just because Sivir Bard's really squishy early.
Yeah, certainly. And this is will be what it comes down to. If Pootie Tang Gang can win lane, in 2 of the lanes or more, I think it can certainly turn into their favor that they can just snowball it, and suddenly if LeBlanc gets massive and Cho'Gath is, you know, too big to kill, Pootie Tang Gang can take this game fairly easily. But they need to be able to execute in the early game, which is why, I mean, Pigs Might Fly. I think they definitely have the draft here. You know, they have the draft advantage here just because it's easier to win. It's easier to hit their win conditions. So we are getting into game in a second. We've got that Tarek Lumen Shield, Prestigious LeBlanc. What a good skin. Or at least what an upgraded skin from what she used to be. And I think I left the music on. Yeah, I left the music on, so let's turn that off. Still there, CJ? Just you spectator getting all screwy again? Well, in any case, we are into Game 2 here. Pigs Might Fly up 1-0 over Pootie Tang Gang. So, on the blue side, Pigs Might Fly this time. It's OG the Arbiter in the top lane on Malphite, Rembones in the jungle on Jarvan IV, Smooths in the mid lane, back on the Diana, and the bot lane, X-Craze and Mark Hames on Sivir and Bard. Meanwhile, we've got Pootie Tang Gang moving in for an invade. Will X-Craze get caught? No.
Nope, drops a ward, will back off there. Not surprising to see this particular comp invade, as we see maybe a second invade. They're actually just kind of enjoying walking around as a group.
If at first you don't succeed, run into their jungle again, because what could possibly go wrong? Alright, we got ourselves a pause here.
Well, the pause gives me enough time to introduce Pootie Tang Gang properly. We've got tank players Lol up in the top lane on Cho'Gath. I Loves Rachel in jungle on Sejuani again. XSI in the mid lane on LeBlanc. And Dirty Audacity and Dr. Siggy Wiggy in the bot lane on Tristana and Tarek.
Have you considered that it's not I Loves Rachel, but it's I Love Senior Rachel? Anyone?
I'm thinking actually that it could be in a different dialect, possibly something Russian-based. Il Uzrashal. Uh,
Illustrashal.
it may be actually part of a lost language, something on the Rosetta Stone, possibly.
Honestly, with how Pootie Tang Gang act in Discord chat, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that they're just secretly like ancient ass, ancient ass shit talkers from a bygone era because they just say really weird things sometimes.
It is entirely possible, absolutely. And we will, this game, see that both Rembones and Iluz Rashal are starting on the same side of their jungle, so they may meet at that top side scuttle. It doesn't look like Rembones will repeat the level 2 gank in mid. And things should be pretty standard here for the first couple minutes of the game.
Oh, there we go. One of my friends just texted me. She's watching. She goes, or maybe it's I love Senora Chell, like Shell from Road to El Dorado.
Good callback. One of my favorite movies.
That is a great movie. Is that DreamWorks?
I want to say it is.
Yeah, DreamWorks has some of the sleeper best movies of our childhoods. I mean, they made Shrek. So now, it's just, yeah, as you said, it's just a pretty nice, smooth, slow start. But Rembones and I Love Senora Shell may meet here. It is 2 buffs to 1. Rembones is 3. So is I Loves Rachel. But with the red buff on the side of Rembones, it will mean that I Loves Rachel will have to back off and cede this river pressure.
Yeah, a full clear here of the bot side for the Sejuani. So getting that level 3, but without the red buff of her own to really contest. And it's not guaranteed that you win that fight. Comes down to whether or not you can get passive procs off or not.
Yeah, so I Love Rachel is going to just go ahead, farm up his red, farm up those raptors. But that does give the prio over the Scuttle Crab to Rembones. He will pick that one up. He's chasing it down for a little while, so it will take him a bit. Meanwhile, I Loves Rachel is going to move onto the bot side, try and pick that Scuttle.
And Rembones showing himself in mid, obviously doesn't care that they know where he is because they already knew where he was, and is going to contest the bot side Scuttle on that.
Meanwhile, there is a 2v2 going on here. X-Craze does get caught. That is the magical journey coming through. Mark Hames takes that. Rembone steals away the Rift Scuttler, but now may be in trouble as XSI can come over the wall. However, that is a roam for nothing by the mid laner of Pootie Tang Gang, and Rembones gets away, just burning his flash.
Yeah, they get the flash off of Jarvan, which does somewhat limit his ability to be aggressive for the early stages of this game. The heal similarly burned in the bot lane 2v2. A couple summoner advantage for the side of PTG. We'll have to see if they can make anything happen with it.
Yeah, X-Craze is going to have to play much safer here just because he doesn't have the heal. He's a little bit lower on mana, but of course you can get that all back with the spell shield. Meanwhile, tank player's lull is at a level disadvantage, but gets a fairly good trade-off against OG the Arbiter.
And this is how we kind of expect the Cho'Gath into tank matchup to go, as it's actually getting really scary for OG the Arbiter. Any extra damage coming over the top would have been death, and that is for 2 tank players lull, forced back into the Scream by the presence of I Loves Rachel.
Yeah, unfortunately for this, Sejuani doesn't manage to pick up an assist. However, tank player's lull does have that solo kill gold under his belt for first blood. He will be at a 400 gold advantage, and that is going to be his Dark Seal picked up. Or actually, no, he already had the Dark Seal. He's going to pick up a Doran's Ring to supplement.
Not particularly uncommon to see another starting item grabbed there, as alongside... Oh!
Yeah, picks up 2 Amp Tomes, and now X-Craze might be in trouble. He is exhausted. The teleport coming through. Tank player's low will not find a knock-up. Mark Hames gets the magical journey, but he brings tank players low in the flank in front of his ADC. Now Markhaim's gonna flash over the wall. He gets knocked back by the Ocean Drake. He will be going down soon. X-Craze on the run, already used the flash. Markhaim will fall. Now, X-Craze caught in the middle of 3. He's gonna go down for the double kill to Dirty Audacity.
Really good dividends on that teleport there from tank players LoL. I hadn't considered that tank players LoL might just be playing carry Cho'Gath this game. You don't really have a difficult lane to do it into. Malphite doesn't offer up that much resistance, and with TP plays like that, getting your bot lane ahead, you're already having a pretty ridiculous game in fact.
Ooh, and OG the Arbiter burns the unstoppable force. He already used the teleport to get back to lane. He will be going down for certain. He doesn't have his flash. He doesn't have his ultimate. He will get some damage off onto I Loves Rachel. He will not... Oh, wait. He actually gets the solo kill in the 1v2, and now fighting off tank players low who doesn't have the feast. OG the Arbiter is winning this auto attack battle. Chasing down, he will force away the Cho'Gath in the 1v2.
Yeah, greedy there from I Loves Rachel to stay in for that. Malphite early damage not to be underestimated with the change to the way his W works, and now tank players LoL is in trouble.
Yeah, he doesn't have his ultimate, but he will get pulled back by the Moonfall. Smooths takes the kill. However, the return will come through by Exocide in this 1-for-1 in the top lane. Wow.
And there is only one option that I see this Lost Chapter being built into. I didn't notice the Glacial Augment at first, but it is almost certainly going to be Hextech GLP first item for tank players LoL here.
Yeah, the Super Soaker Cho'Gath, it'll get a lot easier for him to start picking up these kills once he has the GLP, once he's able to use the Glacial Augment. And now that he has his ultimate, he'll be able to start finding these solo kills in the 1v1s.
Yeah, and it is, as I suspected, I actually checked right afterwards. I think what we're likely to see here from tank players LoL, as he also has the Domination second and Ingenious Hunter, is he will go Super Soaker into Righteous Glory, if I had to guess.
Meanwhile, X-Craze does manage to spell shield the stun, but he takes so much damage on the way out. It is going to mean that with that dragon in their pocket, Pootie Gang have control over this bot lane.
Yeah, and Dirty Audacity playing a really aggressive Tristana here. It's one of the only champions that requires you to know to almost the 10s or 1s place exactly how much damage you go in. It can get very technical, but if you play it perfectly, the champion is pretty ridiculous to deal with.
Yeah, now he has X-Craze under the turret. Exocide coming through. Dirty Audacity will take a little bit of damage from the turret, and X-Craze will spell shield it, but that is the spell shield burn. With Exocide waiting off on the behind, he's gonna find Markhaim with the root, the stun, the kill. Exocide picks him up. Now Dirty Audacity is tanking turret. One big auto attack from X-Craze can do it, the heal coming through, but Dirty Audacity picks up his third of the game.
Yeah, heal for heal there, and Dirty Audacity will toss the ultimate as well, just for good measure. But the dominance being asserted here by PTG's bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, that was a clean dive. Really good, you know, Dirty Audacity didn't have to juggle aggro, but holding that for a second while he was, you know, while they were moving through, he knew his champion, he knew that he could hit that heal and keep himself alive against X-Craze, and that meant 2 kills there for Pootie Gang, now 6-2.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we will see the same trade, but with the team swapped a little bit. Dragon goes over to PTG, while Pigs will pick up the first Rift Herald of the game. So the junglers not being inactive, just not focusing on lanes at the moment.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what Rembones does if they get a good Rift Herald drop before turret plates go down. That's certainly an easy 320 gold, or even possibly 480 over to the side of Pigs Might Fly. And it looks like they actually are invading the top side jungle, but now the Magical Journey coming through. Tank Player's Lol gonna find... He can't even find a knock-up. He's just killed. Tank Player's Lol goes down to Rembones.
Yeah, that's the Bard Roam coming through alongside the gank from Rembones. Casual 3-man up in the top side. Not the most common 3-man spot in the game, but Tank Player's Lol will pay the price for it. Does not have TP up either, so this is likely going to be, yep, Rift Herald in first tower.
Yeah, and they will pick up those first 2 plates as well. This is basically the perfect Rift Herald, but now they might find a good dive. No, it's going to be hit by the Tempered Fate, so the top lane turret is going to go down in favor of Pigs. And they don't even lose lives or turrets. I may have spoken too soon. I Loves Rachel coming through. He gets stunned up, though. Double flashes from Mark Hames and Execraze. Meanwhile, Smooth's trying to find Exocide. He will not. Execraze may have stepped up too far. He's going to get jumped on by Dirty Audacity, and the kill comes through. I Loves Rachel picks that one up, and Execraze just got so greedy there.
Yeah, just hanging around too long. The first engage burned the flash. The second one burned every remaining ability, including the ultimate and spell shield, and then he continued to stick around for the third jump in, and finally pays the price for it on that one.
So now, Pootie Tang Gang, they're looking to pick up this turret in response. They're still about 1,000 gold ahead, and it looks like they will be picking up that tower. Smooths gets a few turret plates to his name, but he's out of mana and it's gonna have to back off against Tank Player's Lol.
Yeah, no mana. They will get the turret trade through. Took a little bit longer on the side of Pootie Hills on top of that as well. And notably, Exocide doing a much better job of boots this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2-0
not getting any
1.
solo kills, but
yeah. He didn't get killed, he didn't get solo killed, which is already an improvement. Not to mention the fact that he's picked up a couple kills for himself.
Now, and has been able to affect the map and roam out a little bit, which is always really important. If you're picking LeBlanc in the mid lane, you're doing it for the ability to affect the side lanes.
And now it looks like the second dragon will be going over to Pootie Tang Gang. We'll see whether this is an Infernal or a Cloud map. Looks like another Infernal. And now Mark Hames might be caught. Damn, that's a lot of damage. And that is a kill by X.
Yes! Welcome to the LeBlanc into squishy support experience. That is going to be Mark Hames' bane for about the next 12 minutes.
Yeah, the Luden's Echo versus a Bard with no magic resist doesn't really go that well for the Bard. A lot of pings coming through on the mid lane. It looks like Pootie Tang Gang are going to group up and try and take this one down. They have 4 members strong sitting around. Tank Player's Lol doesn't have the teleport, but he can always interrupt OG the Arbiter's teleport if that Malphite chooses to come into the mid lane via the Summoner spell.
And they will have to back off of that tower. They do get a little bit of damage down onto it. Nothing to write home about.
Ooh. Exocide takes about half of Smooth's health.
Yeah, and that's you see the difference between the level 6 Bard and the level 10 Diana. Exocide not quite at the damage point that can assassinate.
But that's a giant engage. Dirty Audacity jumps away. Siggy Wiggy, though, he is left out to dry, left to die. And that was a really good engage by OG the Arbiter.
Yeah, but for the investment of double flash, double ult in alongside the speed up from Sivir, only picking up Siggy Wiggy there is actually really good for PTG.
Yeah, I mean, Pigs have to find something else with it. It looks like they will be going around the Rift Herald, whilst Dr. Siggy Wiggy is still respawning, so hopefully for Pigs, they will be able to pick something up, but they don't have a lot of their combat spells. Some of their combat summoners as well. And now the engage by Rembones, he is going to use the Cataclysm coming through. Tank Player's Lol doesn't have the ultimate as well. Stun comes up onto Exocide. Smooths doesn't have his ultimate. He's just going to go down. The Rift Herald is stolen as well by Pootie Tang Gang. This is an absolute travesty for the Pigs. Mark Hames doing what he can with the Tempered Fate, but that's another knockup coming on into OG the Arbiter. Dirty Audacity goes very low, but he's not dead yet. I Loves Rachel now chasing down Rembones, and that's 2 for nothing, and the Rift Herald stolen by PTG.
Yeah, Dirty Audacity jumping around, able to push his champion to the absolute limits, leaving that fight with about 100 health, but the kill coming through onto Smooth's exact damage calculations as Dirty Audacity ulted him away, and then I Loves Rachel also picking up the Herald off the back end, which they drop immediately in this pit. Things are looking really rough for Pigs here.
Yeah, Smooths, he's going to try and go in. He finds 2 men with the Moonfall, but it doesn't do any damage. He only has the Hextech Proto Belt. Now, Dirty Audacity in a little bit of trouble against OG the Arbiter. He gets ulted. He's going to get bopped. The shutdown coming through by the Malphite. Now, the Flag and Drag does not find a knockup. Dr. Siggy Wiggy is alive, and OG the Arbiter has to back off, but it's a good pickup in return, and they're going to find this outer turret now.
Yeah, a little bit smaller of a disaster there for PTG with a really nice TP play from OG the Arbiter, but also the fact that they are missing, I think, less than 100 damage on the tower that they were looking for. Yeah, it is sitting at 39 HP, and they also get treated. So what could have been a pretty decent advantage for them actually ends up being relatively even.
Yeah, however, now with this vision control that Pigs have over the Dragon Pit, looks like they will reset a little bit and then come back for it, because that could easily be Soul Point here, or move it to Soul Point here for Pootie Gang if Pigs Might Fly don't do anything about it around this Dragon Pit.
Yeah, item breakpoints starting to look really good for the side of PTG. You've got the finished Ludens for Exercise in the mid lane, 1.5 for Dirty Audacity, the Storm Razor being particularly potent as the slowdown is really disgusting, honestly.
And X-Craze immediately burns his ultimate, so that will not be an engaged tool here for Pigs. They are, however, still going to move around this dragon. They have control of the pit as well as that Scuttle Shrine. They're going to force Pootie Gang back, and we'll have to see how Pootie Gang is going to find an engage here to try and take this soul for themselves. Or Soul Point, or take this third dragon for themselves. They may have found it. The stun coming through. OG the Arbiter ults in. That's going to be the whip, and now the 3-man Moonfall. They find Siggy Wiggy. They're going to find tank players as well. A double kill for the Diana. I Loves Rachel going to go down. That's a triple. The ultimate coming through by Bard forces the flash by Exercise, and Pigs get the miracle engage.
On Diana continues to be a problem. They find OG the Arbiter, not probably the most impactful pick they could have found. He doesn't end up actually taking the portal. He just tanks well over half his health, and then spot ults on top of him. Everyone who is standing close gives time for Smooths to hit a 3-man Moonfall, and they win a team fight off the back of it.
Yeah, this is that Wombo combo in the team fight that we were talking about. All of these engage tools building up the full engage for the total team, and it is going to mean that now Pigs are back into the lead here. They're about only 500 or 600 gold, but considering that they've been on the back foot for the better part of this game, this is a breath of fresh air for them.
Yeah, and despite having a really good lane, especially compared to last game, Exercise going 3-0-2 still finds himself down about 1,000 gold on Smooths after that team fight.
Yeah, I mean, the triple kill plus the shutdowns, that's nothing to sneeze at. Smooths is going to be able to find his needlessly large rod to go alongside that Oblivion Orb. Doesn't look like he will be going for the full Morellonomicon this early. Probably waiting for 3rd or 4th item to do so. And now the Baron is on the map. It's 20 minutes, and I Loves Rachel is going to steal away that Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, difficult to beat out Smite if you're not the jungler on that point, so that'll be a nice pickup for the Sejuani, but state of the game fairly even. In fact, as I look up at the gold graph, exactly even. Both teams sitting at 33,000.
And it looks like with this even gold, it looks like Pootie Gang, they're just kind of dancing around. They might try and find OG the Arbiter, but that inner turret in the mid lane is so low that you could just knock it over with one finger. There is a little bit of vision that Pootie Gang is looking for. They are going to take control of this red side of Pigs.
Yeah, I was actually expecting that to happen a little earlier. Just have one player with any damage walk up and auto that tower once. Smooth's pushing solo in the top lane means this isn't really a fight that Pigs want to take in the mid lane. Smooth's is their big power point here in the mid game.
Yeah, now Mark Hames, he's just, getting a little bit of chip damage. Rembone's moving forward. He actually uses the Cataclysm onto I Love's Rachel. Rachel has to jump away, uses the flash, uses the ultimate, but Smooths is here. He's gonna find some damage. He has the Moonfall, but I don't think he needs to use it. Jumps forward on a rampage. That is the jungler picked up. Pigs could look to try and force or just bait this Baron.
Yeah, the jungler dying that close to pit with all 5 champions chasing is almost certainly going to be Baron started up for the side of Pigs.
And start it up they will. So let's see if there's anything that Pootie Gang can do. Tank Players has the Feast. It's going to outsmite Rembones. They need to be able to take down this Cho'Gath, who has Flash. Gonna use the Rupture. Now Exocide in it. He's gonna take a lot of damage. The ultimate coming out from Dr. Siggy-Wiggy. There we go. That's the Tempered Fate that Pigs was looking for. They find the flashes of both bot laners. Now Dirty Audacity going very low. One more hit will do it. Smooths is unstoppable. Now Tank Player's low is gonna fall as well. It's a 3-0 in this 4v5. And it looks like the Baron in the sights of Pig.
What an incredible ultimate there from Mark Hames. Catches 3 on very tip of all sides of the Tempered Fate there. Allows for the Wombo to come through yet again, and Baron will go over to the side of Pigs. So.
Yeah, they can't let it reset. Okay, they're not going to let it reset. X-Cray is just getting very low. I Love's Rachel will not be able to steal it. Pigs take their second Baron of this, or third Baron of the series. Ooh. Okay, oh, Mark Hames, he might be caught. He goes over the wall. I Love's Rachel going to follow, does get stunned up. OG the Arbiter is here, and is going to be able to zone for his support. Good guy, Tom. Ooh. Oh, Mark Hames, he flashes it! Exocide takes some damage now. OG the Arbiter will be able to pick up the shutdown. It's a Baron buff taken off by Pootie Gang, but they lose their mid laner in the process.
Yeah, and they lose a lot of gold, actually, over to OG the Arbiter. Not a particularly important character to have that gold on, but dropping the shutdown for one Baron buff being taken off and trading your support for your mid laner, or trading your mid laner for your support, definitely a little bit questionable in my opinion.
Yeah, and as we said in Champion Select, that Pootie Gang losing Exocide or Dirty Audacity is a huge blow to them, because that's, we thought it was going to be half their damage, but Tank Player's low being a full AP Cho'Gath. But that's the most fed member on their team, so the Dragon's just going to go over to the Pigs here.
Yeah, and a little bit surprised to see the double, the double glacial augment items coming through here for Tank Players LoL would definitely be more beneficial to have a little bit more frontline. If you're gonna pick up a second active, I think the Righteous Glory on the table in comparison to Spooky Ghost is definitely what you should have gone for.
Not able to snap back, but he will get out that ultimate from the Malphite. Meanwhile, the Baron buff is being used to great effect. The mid lane inner is going to go down in favor of Pigs. Looks like they're going to try and rotate that top lane now, with Malphite bringing in the wave.
Yeah, and this is pretty cut and dry Baron play. They're not splitting the map particularly well, but they are being able to force down these inner turrets fairly easily. There's no contest from the side of PTG, and this kind of goes back to Champ Select for me, in my opinion. They're like, what are you going to contest with this comp?
Yeah, I mean, like, you said that they weren't splitting the map, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I mean, with all of the kill and teamfight pressure that Pigs have, they can just kind of walk around wherever they want and force the things that they need, like they did with that mid lane and the top lane turrets. So now they get to reset as their Baron ticks off the last 20 seconds.
They get to reset, they get to spend their gold. Exercise will go in for Mark Hames there, but the Bard is... You are in between the Bard and the wall, and at that point, your ability to do things has been removed.
Caught between a wall and a hard place, wouldn't you say?
I don't know, Bard seems kind of squishy and lovable, actually. I always assumed he was mostly air underneath the beard and the cloak. Don't know.
If you take off his mask, he just kind of like falls apart. Just
right. He's just a spirit eyes.
Yeah, he's just a big inflatable, lovable, squishy boy. And however, this inflatable squishy boy does have a Dead Man's Plate, so he is actually fairly tanky against Dirty Audacity. He just doesn't have any magic resist, so XSI can still try and pop him.
I think what always runs through my mind is the wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Except he's overinflated.
Right.
And now I Love Rachel, on the way out, he is going to flash away from the Moonfall, but that is a big team fighting ultimate used. However, that is for the flash of the jungler.
Yeah, the flash of the jungler, definitely the longer cooldown in this instance. X-Rays will eat the Glacial Prison there.
But now, ultimate's coming in. It's just going to be Sivir trying to disengage because the Cosmic Radiance is down. Now, that's the re-engage by the Malphite. He's going to find 3 with it. That's I Loves Rachel and Siggy Wiggy immediately going down. The Tempered Fate going to find Dirty Audacity as well. It's just Pootie Tang Gang melting. They're doing what they can to get away, but they've already lost 2, and OG the Arbiter's trying to make it 3. He will get ulted backward, but now Rembones finds the re-engage, and X-Craze is on a killing spree. Exasai goes down as well. Smooths is legendary, and there's only one member of Pootie Tang Gang left.
And that's absolutely classic. You pop the Sivir ultimate, you run away from Taric. Oh look, Taric's not ulting anymore. His ultimate is done. Re-engage. 4 off the back of it. They're just playing these fights exactly the way their comp allows them to, and this type of one-dimensional engage from Pootie Tang Gang is basically the only thing their comp allows them to do.
Oh, X-Crazy gets knocked up! He's gonna get chomped!
That's awkward.
3 members coming back in for the re-engage. They're gonna find the knock-up on 2. That's Trembones coming back through. Tank player's low is going down fast. Smooths is legendary, and they go so far too deep.
In a shocking turn of events, the full AP Cho'Gath is not tanky, and he does get blown up faster than the other 2 members of his team, who are actually tanks, but have less items than he does.
It's surprised Pikachu, but with Cho'Gath. Hey, if you build full AP, you will not have any tank. Goes in, dies. What? Oh, boy.
Goes in, is not tanky. In any case, the Baron is spawning onto the map here in exactly now, and I don't see any way that this doesn't go the way of Pigs here. They can just walk out to, looks like they're actually headed to Dragon here to force themselves onto Soul Point, and then they'll probably go Baron.
Yeah, I think this is the smart move, because I don't think Pootie Tang Gang can burn Baron fast enough, especially with the vision that Pig has. It's just the one ward, but they can see where where Pootie Tang Gang is approaching the Baron. Look at that, the Dragon's already down, now they can run up, and Dirty Audacity only has the 2 items, and it's not really damage. So, oh, and it looks like XSI might be out. Everyone is in the pool, and it looks like XSI will be going down. Actually snaps back, but there we go. X-Craze finds it, and X-Craze actually gets found by the Glacial Prison. Tank players well with the kill. Now OG the Arbiter has ulted onto... Wow, he's a big boy. Dirty Audacity on the run. Rembones gets ulted back, and now Smooths does get the 2-man Moonfall. Tank players well does get burned down fairly quickly. Smooths is not quite dead yet. He will not go down. Dr. Siggy Wiggy is going to fall as well. Dirty Audacity is zoned off by the jungle and the top laner. They're going to try and find the Tristana. It's the killing spree for OG the Arbiter. It's the ace for Pigs, and they only lose their ADC. They're looking for the end here.
And as is the nature of Pig's comp, when X-Craze dies, they're not out of damage.
Yeah, I mean, you still have Smooths, and you just still have the fact that you can't get through Malphite.
Yeah, and some really nice kiting. Like, mechanically speaking, very good attempt from PTG. They didn't play any of these fights necessarily incorrectly. I just think they simply got outdrafted.
Yeah, I think both games really did come down to drafting.
Yeah, and it is sort of what we talked about. It's not that these comps couldn't have worked. It's the ease of execution that makes it a little bit favored to the side of Pigs. Not only is their comp better at team fighting, but it's also just easier to play. And when you force yourselves into difficult opponents on a comp that's difficult to execute, and you don't get ahead early, this is kind of just the way the game plays out, assuming nothing crazy happens.
Yeah, and I think that basically sums it up. The fact that the ease of execution was just all in favor of Pigs, really in both games, spelled the doom for Pootie Gang, and in a fairly surprising upset, the Solari Conference actually pulls ahead, takes down the first seed of the Lunaris, and Pigs will be going to the finals to take on Sensei Squad.
Yeah, and that'll be quite interesting. Mark Ames, the previous support for Sensei Squad, going up against his old team. Very excited for that one. Grats to PTG on a great season. As you mentioned, they were heads of their conference, and they played out a good series.
Yeah, and of course, that is not the end of the road for Pootie Gang. They will be facing off against Goliath Esports Lions in the third place match. And there will be a little bit of spice on top of that, because Pootie Gang and Goliath Esports were trading some fairly acidic words about, you didn't win a game in the semifinals. Quote, I think that was Tank Players LOL that said that.
I'm so surprised that it was Tank Players LOL who said that. I would not have expected that from Tank Players LOL ever.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching the Pigs take on the Pootie Tang. They will be flying up to the finals to take on the other member of their division, the Sensei Squad. Meanwhile, Pootie Tang Gang will be taking on Goliath Esports Lions tomorrow for that third place match. So this is going to be it for us for this block. We are coming back at 7 o'clock with, I believe, Goliath Esports Warriors versus GSM Gold. Meanwhile, on Get Wrecked 2, it will be EXT versus Return of the Middle Sticks. So, everybody, thank you for watching. Come back in an hour. We'll be back. Don't worry. But for now, I have been Vid. This has been Oath, and it has been a pleasure to cast for you.